The morning sun peeked through the expensive curtains of their penthouse apartment as Raj Kumar stared at his reflection in the bathroom mirror. At 32, he was already making waves in the tech industry, but something felt incomplete. His wife Priya's words from last night's argument still rang in his ears. "There's more to life than just work and money," she had said, her voice trembling. "We talked about having a family before we got married. What changed?" Raj adjusted his designer tie, trying to push away the memory of her tear-stained face. His startup was at a crucial stage, and he couldn't afford any distractions. The investors were watching his every move, and he had dreams bigger than a simple family life. In the kitchen, Priya was making breakfast, just like any other day. But today was different. Her hands shook slightly as she poured coffee into his favorite mug. She hadn't told him yet. The news she'd received just yesterday from her doctor. A baby was growing inside her, or so she thought. Little did she know that destiny had multiplied her blessing by 4. "I have an early meeting," Raj announced, grabbing his briefcase. The tension from last night still hung heavy in the air. "Can we talk about this?" Priya asked softly, placing his breakfast on the table. The morning sunlight caught the tiny diamond on her wedding ring, the first expensive gift he'd given her when they were just starting out. "There's nothing to talk about," he replied coldly. "I've been clear about my priorities. The company needs me right now. We can't bring a child into this chaos." Priya's hand instinctively moved to her stomach, protecting her secret. "And what about what I need? What about our dreams of having a big family?" Raj's expression hardened. "Dreams change. I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago. I have a chance to build something extraordinary. Don't you understand that? What's more extraordinary than creating a family together?" Priya's voice was barely a whisper. The words that came next from Raj's mouth would haunt him for years to come. "If you want to play house and raise kids, maybe you married the wrong person. I meant for bigger things than changing diapers and attending school plays." He grabbed his car keys, not seeing how his words had shattered something precious in Priya's eyes. She watched him walk toward the door, her heart breaking with each step he took. "Sometimes," she said, finding strength in her voice, "the biggest things in life come in the smallest packages." Raj paused for a moment, his hand on the doorknob. For a split second, Priya thought he might turn around, that he might remember the loving man who had promised to build a life with her. Instead, he opened the door and walked out. That evening, when Raj returned home, the apartment was empty. No dinner on the table, no Priya waiting out for him. Just a simple note that read, "You're right. We want different things. I won't stand in the way of your dreams anymore." He told himself this was for the best. No messy divorce, no long arguments. Just a clean break that would let him focus entirely on his ambitions. He ignored the hollow feeling in his chest as he looked at their wedding photo on the wall, telling himself that real success required sacrifices. What Raj didn't know was that in a small apartment across the city, Priya was curled up on a borrowed bed, her hands protective over her stomach, whispering promises to her unborn children. She would give them everything: love, education, values, and strength. They would know what it meant to be extraordinary in ways their father had forgotten. As the night deepened, both Raj and Priya lay awake in separate beds, their lives taking dramatically different paths. He dreamed of empire building, while she dreamed of tiny heartbeats. Neither knew that fate had set in motion a story that would take 18 years to complete, a story of love, regret, redemption, and the true meaning of success. 18 years passed like pages turning in the wind. Raj Kumar's name became synonymous with success in the tech world. His company, Future Tech Solutions, transformed from a small startup into a global powerhouse. The media called him a genius, a visionary, the man who revolutionized artificial intelligence. But in his massive penthouse office, surrounded by awards and magazine covers, he still felt that nagging emptiness. "Sir, your 3 p.m. meeting with the board is starting," his assistant reminded him through the intercom. Raj looked up from his computer screen, where he'd been absent-mindedly scrolling through old photos on his phone. He quickly closed the image of his wedding day, a habit he'd developed over the years whenever memories of Priya surfaced. The board meeting went like clockwork. Profits were up 300% from last year. Their new AI platform was changing how businesses operated worldwide. Yet, as Raj delivered his presentation, he noticed something that bothered him. The young intern taking notes in the corner reminded him of someone. Later that evening, as his driver navigated through city traffic, Raj loosened his tie and thought about his life. His closet held more designer suits than he could wear in a month. He had houses in 3 countries. His car collection would make celebrities jealous, but he ate dinner alone most nights, watching the sun set over the city skyline. "Should I take the usual route home, sir?" his driver asked. "No," Raj replied, surprising himself. "Take me to the old neighborhood." The car turned towards the area where he and Priya had first started their life together. Their old apartment building still stood there, though now it looked small compared to the luxury towers he was used to. He remembered how they'd celebrated buying their first microwave, how Priya had insisted on painting the walls herself to save money. His phone buzzed. Another business magazine wanted to feature him on their cover. The Bachelor Billionaire, how Raj Kumar built his empire alone. He almost laughed at the irony. Yes, he built everything alone, but at what cost? Back at his penthouse, Raj poured himself a drink and walked to his home office. The wall of achievements stared back at him. Forbes covers, Time Magazine's Person of the Year, Innovation Awards. His eyes landed on a small frame hidden behind the bigger ones, the last photo he and Priya had taken together. He picked up the frame, wiping away years of dust. They looked so young, so happy. Priya's smile could light up a room. He wondered, not for the first time, what had happened to her after she left. His private investigators had never found her. It was as if she vanished into thin air. The next morning, during a virtual meeting with his international teams, something caught his attention. One of the new interns at their partner company in Bangalore had Priya's smile. He shook his head, telling himself he was seeing things. But throughout the day, he couldn't shake the feeling. "Pull up the files of all new interns from the Bangalore office," he told his assistant. "Right away, sir. Any particular reason?" "Just routine check," he mumbled, knowing it was anything but routine. That evening, as he reviewed the files, his coffee grew cold on his desk. Most of the interns were fresh graduates, eager young minds ready to change the world, just like he had been once upon a time. But something about 4 particular applications made his heart skip a beat. They didn't share a last name with Priya, she must have changed hers. But their birth dates were identical, and their faces, each had a feature that reminded him of her. One had her eyes, another her smile, the third had her graceful hands, and the fourth had his mother's nose. Raj sat back in his chair, his world spinning. Could it be? After all these years? The timing matched perfectly with when Priya left. But quadruplets? The possibility had never crossed his mind. As the city lights twinkled below his office window, Raj Kumar, the man who had everything, realized he might have missed out on the biggest success story of his life. 4 of them, to be exact. Raj couldn't sleep that night. He kept looking at the intern files on his tablet, studying each face until his eyes burned. The next morning, he did something he hadn't done in years. He cancelled all his meetings. "Sir, the board won't be happy," his assistant warned through the phone. "Let them be unhappy," Raj replied, already booking a flight to Bangalore. He needed to see these interns in person. The Bangalore office was buzzing with energy when he arrived. Nobody expected the CEO to show up unannounced. Young employees straightened their clothes and fixed their hair as he walked past. But Raj wasn't interested in their presentations or reports. His eyes scanned the office, looking for 4 particular faces. He found the first one in the IT department. Arjun was helping a senior developer with some code. Raj's heart almost stopped. The way the boy pushed his hair back was exactly how Priya used to do it when she was concentrating. "Tell me about that intern," Raj asked the department head quietly. "Arjun? Brilliant kid. Taught himself coding at 12. He's already fixed problems our senior developers couldn't solve." The second one, Anjali, was in the design team. She sat at her desk, sketching user interfaces on a tablet. Her drawings were beautiful, creative, just like Priya's old sketches that used to fill their apartment. "She's incredible," her supervisor gushed. "Never seen someone understand user psychology so well at this age." The third intern, Aditya, was giving a presentation to the marketing team. His confidence, the way he spoke with his hands, Raj saw himself at that age. but the warmth in his voice, that was all Priya. The fourth one proved harder to find. Ananya is at the company gym, someone told him. She never misses her workout routine. Raj found her there, teaching a yoga class to other employees during lunch break. She had Priya's grace and his mother's determined expression. He watched them throughout the day, his heart growing heavier with each passing hour. They were 18, exactly the right age. They moved like Priya, laughed like her, but had his drive and ambition. How had he not seen it sooner? During lunch, he noticed something else. All four of them sat together in the cafeteria, sharing food from their lunchboxes. They didn't look like regular colleagues. There was something deeper there. They're quite close, a nearby employee mentioned, seeing his interest. People say they grew up together in the same neighborhood. Their single mom raised them all. Raj's coffee cup almost slipped from his hand. Their mother, what does she do? Oh, she's a doctor, really respected in the community. Runs a children's hospital now, I think. Each word felt like a piece of puzzle falling into place. Priya had always wanted to be a pediatrician. She put her dreams on hold to support his ambitions. Later that afternoon, he overheard Ananya on the phone. Yes, Mom, I'll pick up your medicine on the way home. Don't worry, Arjun already got groceries. Raj's hands shook as he opened his laptop. He typed, Dr. Priya Children's Hospital Bangalore, into the search bar. Several articles popped up about a remarkable woman doctor who had built a state-of-the-art children's hospital from scratch. The photo made his heart stop. There she was, older, more mature, but still beautiful. Still Priya. The article praised her dedication as a single mother who had raised 4 brilliant children while building her medical career. As the sun set over Bangalore's busy streets, Raj sat in his hotel room, looking at his phone. He had her number now. The hospital's contact information was public. But what would he say? Sorry I missed 18 years of our children's lives. Sorry I chose money over family. His finger hovered over the call button when his phone buzzed with a message. It was from his assistant. Sir, the intern's performance reports are ready. All 4 of them ranked highest in their departments. Should we fast-track their permanent positions? Raj looked out at the city lights, remembering how he and Priya used to dream about their future children. Now those children were here, grown up, successful without him. They had his ambition and their mother's heart. They were everything he could have hoped for in his children, and he hadn't been there to see them grow. Tomorrow, he decided, tomorrow he would face what he had walked away from 18 years ago. Tomorrow he would meet the woman who had done the impossible, raised 4 incredible children while building her own dream. Tomorrow he would face his biggest fear, looking into the eyes of the family he had abandoned. The children's hospital stood tall and welcoming in the morning sun. Bright murals decorated its walls, and the sound of children's laughter drifted from the playground nearby. Raj sat in his car, watching parents guide their little ones through the entrance. Each family made his heart ache a little more. His driver cleared his throat. Sir, your appointment with Dr. Priya is in 10 minutes. He had booked it under a different name, a father seeking treatment for his child. Now, walking through the cheerful corridors, past drawings pinned to bulletin boards and inspirational quotes about healing, Raj felt more nervous than he had during any business deal. A nurse led him to Priya's office. Dr. Priya will see you now, she said with a smile. She's the best pediatrician in the city. Your child is in good hands. The moment Raj stepped into the office, time seemed to freeze. Priya stood by her desk, reviewing a patient's file. Her hair had traces of gray now, and she wore simple glasses, but her gentle smile hadn't changed. When she looked up, that smile vanished. I was wondering when you'd show up, she said quietly, closing the file. I saw your photo at our office when the kids started their internship. Raj couldn't find his voice for a moment. Why didn't you tell me? He finally managed to ask. Tell you what. Priya's voice was calm, controlled. That you were going to be a father. You made it very clear that children would get in the way of your dreams. But 4 children, Priya? 4? She sat down, gesturing for him to take a seat too. I found out it was quadruplets 2 weeks after you left. I was terrified, overwhelmed, but also determined. Those 4 tiny heartbeats became my strength. Raj looked around her office. Photos of the children at different ages covered one wall. He saw them growing up. Their first birthday, school performances, graduation. A lifetime of memories he had missed. How? How did you do it all alone? Priya's eyes flashed. I wasn't alone. My parents helped until they passed away. The community supported us. And the children, they're incredible. They understood early on that we had to work together as a family. She pulled out a photo album from her desk drawer. Arjun was coding games for his siblings by age 10. Anjali's aunt won competitions and paid for her own school supplies. Aditya started tutoring younger kids to earn extra money when he was 14. And Ananya, she got sports scholarships that helped with their education. Each story was like a knife in Raj's heart. His children had grown up working hard, supporting each other, while he had more money than he could spend in several lifetimes. They don't know about you, Priya continued. They think their father died in an accident before they were born. I couldn't tell them the truth. I couldn't let them feel abandoned. But they're working at my company now, Raj said. Why? Priya smiled sadly. Because they earned it. They competed against thousands of applicants. Your company picks the best, and they are the best. I couldn't deny them that opportunity just because their father owns the company. A knock on the door interrupted them. Mom, I brought your... Ananya walked in, stopping mid-sentence when she saw Raj. Oh, sorry, I didn't know you had a patient. Raj stared at his daughter, standing there with a paper bag probably containing her mother's medicine. She had his height but Priya's kind eyes. It's okay, beta, Priya said, her voice slightly shaky. I'll take that. Thank you. After Ananya left, silence filled the room. Finally, Raj spoke, his voice breaking. I want to make things right. Right. Priya's calm facade cracked slightly. You can't just walk back into their lives with your billions and make everything right. They've grown up with strong values, worked hard for everything they have. Money can't fix 18 years of absence. Then what can I do? Raj asked, desperation in his voice. Priya looked at the photos on her wall, 18 years of birthdays, achievements, struggles, and joy. First, you need to understand what you walked away from. Not just 4 babies, but 4 unique, wonderful human beings. Before you can be their father, you need to know who they are. She pulled out 4 thick files. These are their stories, their report cards, certificates, newspaper clippings, everything. Read them. Learn about your children. Then we'll talk about how to tell them the truth. As Raj left the hospital, clutching those files to his chest, he realized something. He had spent 18 years building an empire of technology and wealth. But Priya, she had built something far more valuable, a family of strong, capable, loving human beings. And now he had to face his biggest challenge yet, earning the right to be part of that family. A week passed as Raj read through the files Priya had given him. Each page revealed another milestone he had missed. Arjun's first coding competition victory at age 13. Anjali's artwork being displayed in the city museum. Aditya starting a tutoring program for underprivileged children. Ananya winning national-level yoga championships. They need to know the truth, he told Priya over the phone. But I don't know how. They agreed to meet at Priya's house, a modest but warm home filled with memories. Family photos covered the walls, trophies and certificates filled the shelves, and the dining table was large enough for 6 people. The quadruplets came home that evening, chattering about their day at work. They stopped short when they saw Raj sitting in their living room. Children, Priya said softly, we need to talk. They sat down, confusion on their faces. Ananya recognized him from the hospital. Arjun knew him as the company CEO. Anjali had designed presentations about his success story. Aditya had studied his business strategies. Mom, what's going on? Aditya asked, noticing her trembling hands. Priya took a deep breath. The story I told you about your father, I wasn't completely honest. She looked at Raj, who felt the weight of 4 pairs of eyes turn to him. This is your father. The silence that followed was deafening. Arjun stood up first, his face pale. What? No, our father died before we were born. You're Raj Kumar, Anjali said, her artist's eyes studying his face. The man who built future tech from nothing. From nothing. Priya's voice was gentle but firm. No better. He built it after leaving us. After leaving me, when I was carrying you four in my womb. The truth came out, piece by piece. How young Raj and Priya had been. How he had chosen his ambitions over family. How Priya had discovered she was carrying quadruplets after he left. "Why are you here now?" Ananya asked, her voice sharp. "Because we're working for your company. Because we're successful enough to matter now." Raj felt the sting of her words. "No, I didn't even know about you until I saw you at the office. Something about you reminded me of your mother. Did you ever try to find us?" And Didia's question cut deep. "In 18 years, did you ever wonder?" "I did try, at first," Raj admitted. "But your mother had changed her name, moved away. And then, I convinced myself it was better this way. I was wrong. So terribly wrong." Arjun stood up again, pacing the room. "Do you know what it was like? Growing up, watching other kids with their fathers? Mom worked double shifts at the hospital. We learned to cook, clean, help each other with homework while she studied for her medical exams. But we were happy," Anjali added, reaching for her mother's hand. "Mom gave us everything we needed. Love, values, education." "I'm not here to disturb your lives," Raj said quietly. I want a chance to know you, to make up for my mistakes." "Make up?" Ananya laughed bitterly. "Can you make up for 18 birthdays, for all the times Mom had to be both parents? For the nights she cried thinking we couldn't hear?" Priya wrapped her arm around Ananya. "My children, I didn't tell you this to make you angry or sad. You're adults now. You deserve to know the truth. What you do with this truth, that's your choice." The siblings looked at each other, having one of those silent conversations that only people who had shared a womb could have. "I have questions," Arjun finally said. "About your work, your company, about why you left." "I want to know about your side of the family," Anjali added softly. "Do we have grandparents, aunts, uncles?" Aditya remained quiet, studying Raj with eyes that seemed to see right through him. "You'll have to earn our trust," he finally said. "We won't call you Dad. Not yet. Maybe not ever." "I understand," Raj replied, relief and sadness mixing in his voice. "I'll answer every question. Tell you everything you want to know. Take all the time you need." As the evening drew to a close, Priya watched her children process this life-changing news. They had grown up protecting each other, supporting each other. Now they faced their biggest challenge together, accepting the father who had once walked away. Raj stood to leave, but Ananya spoke up. "Wait, would you like to see our childhood photos? Mom kept albums." It was a small gesture, but it meant everything. As they gathered around the old photo albums, Raj realized that all his business success meant nothing compared to these precious moments he was finally being allowed to share. Over the next few months, Raj tried to build bridges with each of his children in their own way. He learned that each one was uniquely different, despite sharing the same birthday. With Arjun, it started in the office tech lab. "Your coding approach is interesting," Raj said, watching his son work on a complex AI problem. "I used to code like that when I started." "Really?" Arjun didn't look up from his screen, but his fingers slowed on the keyboard. "Mom said you built your first program in college." "Yes, a simple inventory management system for my father's shop." Raj pulled up a chair. "Want to know what went wrong with it?" For the first time, Arjun turned to face him. What happened? As Raj shared his early failures and learning experiences, he saw a tiny smile form on Arjun's face. They spent the next few hours talking code, debugging problems, and sharing tech dreams. It wasn't quite father-son bonding, but it was a start. Anjali proved harder to reach. He found her in the design department one day, frustrated over a project. "These client requirements keep changing," she sighed, crumpling another sketch. "You know," Raj said carefully, "your mother used to draw when she was stressed too. She covered our first apartment with sketches." Anjali's hand paused over her tablet. "Mom doesn't draw anymore. Too busy with the hospital. She gave up many things to raise you four." Raj's voice was soft, "But she gave you her creativity. I see it in your designs." That evening, Anjali showed in her portfolio years of artwork, from childhood doodles to professional designs. Each piece told a story of their life without him, but also opened a door to their future. Aditya challenged him the most directly. During a presentation, he questioned Raj's company policies in front of the entire board. Our CSR budget is too low, he argued. We have the resources to help more people. Instead of feeling angry, Raj felt proud. His son had both business sense and a social conscience. After the meeting, they spent hours discussing how to expand the company's community programs. Mom taught us that success means nothing if we can't help others, Aditya explained. That's why she built the children's hospital. Raj nodded, understanding more about the values his children had grown up with. Then let's work together. Show me how we can do better. Ananya took the longest to open up. He would see her teaching yoga to employees, her calm presence reminding him so much of Priya. One day he joined her class. Your form is terrible, she said bluntly, adjusting his pose. You're too stiff. 18 years of sitting in board meetings will do that, he replied, making her laugh despite herself. After class, they sat in the office garden. Why didn't you look for us harder? She finally asked the question that had been burning inside her. Raj looked at the setting sun. Because I was a coward, he admitted. I told myself you and your mother were better off without me, that my success would somehow make up for my absence. I was wrong. Mom cried every year on our birthday, Ananya said quietly. She thought we didn't notice, but we did. We would make her special cards, put on shows to make her laugh. Tears formed in Raj's eyes. Your mother is the strongest person I know. She did what I couldn't, put family before ambition. As weeks passed, small changes appeared. Arjun started asking for Raj's opinion on his coding projects. Anjali would leave her latest designs on his desk for feedback. Aditya involved him in more community initiatives. And Ananya, she kept correcting his yoga poses, but now with a smile. They weren't a traditional family. Their dinner conversations mixed business strategies with childhood memories. Their bonding moments happened in office corridors and hospital waiting rooms. But slowly, they were building something new. Priya watched it all with mixed feelings. One evening, as they all sat in her garden after dinner, she saw Raj teaching Arjun an old coding trick while Anjali sketched the scene. Aditya was explaining a new charity project to Ananya, who was trying to convince everyone to join her morning yoga sessions. They're giving you a chance, she told Raj later. Don't waste it this time. I won't, he promised, watching his children, their children, laugh together. I've learned that real success isn't in bank accounts or business empires. It's right here, in these moments I almost lost forever. As the evening stars appeared, Raj realized that his greatest achievement wasn't building a billion-dollar company. It was getting a second chance to be part of this extraordinary family that had grown strong without him, but was now making space for him to belong. 1 year later, the garden of Priya's house was decorated with lights and flowers. It was the Quadruplet's 19th birthday, and for the first time, both their parents were there to celebrate. Remember their first birthday? Priya asked Raj as they set up the decorations. They smashed 4 cakes that day. Raj's heart ached at another missed memory, but he smiled. Tell me about it. Before Priya could answer, Arjun came running out. Mom, Dad, you need to see this. The word Dad still felt new precious. He had earned the right to be called that just 2 months ago when he'd stayed up 3 nights helping Arjun debug a critical project. They followed him inside where the other 3 were gathered around a computer. We've been working on something, Anjali said, her eyes sparkling. A surprise for both of you. On the screen, a website came to life, the Kumar Family Foundation. The logo combined elements from both Future Tech and Priya's Children's Hospital. We're combining Dad's business resources with Mom's medical expertise, Aditya explained. Free healthcare and education for underprivileged children. And look at this, Ananya added, clicking through the pages. We've already got support from major companies. They're ready to fund education programs, medical camps, everything. Raj and Priya stood speechless. Their children had taken the best of both their worlds and created something beautiful. That's not all, Arjun grinned. Show them the special project. Anjali pulled up another screen. A mobile app that connected children's hospitals worldwide. It uses Dad's AI technology to help doctors share information and research. Mom, remember how you said rural hospitals needed better resources? Priya wiped tears from her eyes. You four, when did you even plan all this? During our lunch breaks, Aditya laughed. Those coding sessions with Dad, Mom's hospital rounds, all those family dinners, we were taking notes. The doorbell rang. Guests started arriving. Hospital staff, company employees, children from Priya's hospital, all now part of their extended family. The garden filled with laughter and chatter. Later that evening, as music played and people mingled, Raj found himself sitting with his children under the same mango tree where they used to do their homework while waiting for Priya to return from hospital shifts. You know, Ananya said, we used to make up stories about you when we were kids, before Mom told us you had died. What kind of stories? Raj asked softly. That you were a superhero on a secret mission, Arjun chuckled, saving the world. Or an artist traveling the world, painting masterpieces, Anjali added. I imagined you were building schools in remote villages, Aditya smiled. The reality was different, Raj admitted. I was just a man too blind to see what real treasure looked like. But you're here now, Ananya said, surprising everyone by resting her head on his shoulder. Better late than never, right? Priya joined them, carrying a cake. Time for the birthday tradition. Mom, we're too old for birthday wishes, Arjun protested, but his eyes lit up at the sight of the cake. Never too old for family traditions, Priya smiled. Make a wish, my babies. As the four of them bent over the candles, Raj watched in wonder. These amazing young adults were his children. Despite his absence, they had grown up to be everything he could have hoped for, and more. What did you wish for? He asked after they blew out the candles. Can't tell you, they said in unison, a habit from their childhood. But later that night, as the party wound down, Ananya whispered to him, I wished for more years like this. All of us together. The foundation launched the next month. Raj watched proudly as his children presented their vision to the world. Arjun handled the technology, Anjali designed the user experience. Aditya managed partnerships, and Ananya organized community programs. Priya stood beside him during the launch. They got the best of both of us, she said. Your business sense and my heart for helping others. No, Raj corrected her. They got their hearts from you. I just provided some tools to make their dreams bigger. As he looked around at his family, Arjun explaining the AI system to doctors, Anjali showing her designs to potential partners, Aditya discussing budgets with investors, and Ananya leading a demonstration of the mobile app, Raj realized that his biggest achievement wasn't building a business empire. It was being part of this family that had enough love to give him a second chance. A family that took his mistake and turned it into something beautiful, a foundation that would help thousands of children. Happy? Priya asked, seeing his expression. More than happy, he replied. I'm grateful. Thank you for raising them to be better than I was. Thank you for giving me a chance to be their father. Under the evening sky, surrounded by the family he had almost lost, Raj Kumar finally understood what true success looked like. It wasn't in his bank balance or company stocks. It was in the proud smile of his children as they changed the world, in their forgiveness, and in the second chance he had been given to be part of their extraordinary story.